Hi everybody. So welcome. So one of the first sets of books I picked up in the month of April is Elsie Silver. So one of the things I wanted to do this year was focus on reading outside my genre and adding in new authors. So I picked up the Chestnut Spring series, and yes, I know I am late to the game. I know a lot of these are about single dads. I know it's centers around like ranching and things like that. I think the first book talks about a bull rider, but I'm actually really put these up. I'm really actually excited to read about this. I know a lot of people on BookTube and Book talk and say a lot of great things about this series, so I'm really super excited to get started reading this series. But also, let's just be honest, it is like the most beautiful set of colors. And yeah, colors. I mean, it's very pleasing on the eye. I guess I just noticed they all have either a flower or a set of boots on the side of the cover. But I really am excited to get started reading the series. Of course, the first book in the series is Flawless. So I'm super excited about these. So again, the Chestnut Spring series. Then we come along to, and I want to make sure I get this series right because I am not too familiar. I think this is the one where I don't have all of the books quite yet, but it is the Rose Hill series. I think it's like book 5 or book 4. I do not have yet. Yes, which is Wildcard, which is the I think the purple or lavender color. But I'm super excited about this series as well. And from what I hear, what everybody talks about, Elsie Silver writes really great romance. The characters are well developed, and that as you're going through and reading the story, you feel like you're immersed or part of that world. So I'm really super excited to read this series as well, and you just started to get to learn about Elsie Silver herself too as a writer. But again, this is the Rose Hill series. So, and again, I love her book covers. They're pastel, but to me these seem like spring happy colors to me. But put that aside. So those sets of 3 I have. Now we're going to move into another set. And this is the Light Lark series by Alex Astor. I read Light Lark probably a year ago. So last year when I was going through my book journey, one of the things I had was, okay, let me just read, before I buy the whole series, let me read the first books in the series. So I bought Light Lark, and I liked it. I really did enjoy it. I really did enjoy the series, and I ended up going back through rereading it because last year I read a lot of mystical fantasy, world building, fantasy romance, things like that. And so I wanted to kind of move back into that this year. And so I went back and I did like I guess you say a big proofread or reread of Light Lark. And I was like, okay, yes, I definitely want to invest in the series and get the series. So with the Light Lark series, you have, of course, Light Lark. You have Nightbane, and you have Skyshade. Now, the one thing I will say about these covers is they are just beautiful covers. And honestly, when I read Light Lark, okay, where's my here? When I read Light Lark last year, I had it in paperback, and when I looked at it, I was like, okay, paperback, yes, I love paperback books, don't get me wrong. But then I thought, well, the other 2 books, I was only able to get them in hardback. So I ended up donating my paperback Light Lark to my local library, and then, of course, purchased all 3 in hardback. I know it's a weird thing to think about, but I do. I do love hardback, but I will buy a paperback or an ebook or an audiobook. So, I'm not all for straight out of just buying hardback books. All right, so the next set, and I know I'm going to get this wrong when I say the name, but it is J.T. Jessinger, I don't know if you guys have heard of the, let me see, let me pull this up on my Goodreads. Oops, I also cannot spell and type at the same time. Go figure. I probably should just type the title of the book. That probably would have gone a little bit quicker. I think I am. Let's start with this one. And oops, go back, because again, cannot type and spell. And apparently I got the 4th book in the series. It's the first book. But they call them Queens and Monsters. It's more of like a, let's see, book 1 is Ruthless Creatures. So basically, this is the thing also that I love that authors do, which if I just looked at the cover of the book, it would have saved me a lot of time. They actually, I don't know if you can tell, number their books. So all 4 of the books I have in this series have the numbers on it. And had I just looked, that would have been easier. But first book in this series of Queens and Monsters is Ruthless Creatures. So in here it says, for 5 years ago, my fiance disappeared. He left me with a wedding dress I'll never wear. Left me with the kinds of scars that can't be healed. The man I built my future on vanished like a ghost. All that remained was my broken heart and a million unanswered questions. Until a mysterious stranger arrives in town, tall, dark, and dangerous, by the name of Cage, is as full of secrets as he is sex appeal. Though I know he's hiding something, I'm drawn to him like a moth to a flame. Heat crackles between us with every look. Desire flares in the passion, and I fall hard, helpless to resist. But then I discover, ding, 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 he's been sent to collect on an unpaid debt from my missing fiance. And that debt is me. So, Ruthless Creatures, Carnal Urges. I'll put this up for you guys to see. Carnal Urges. Gosh, I love these covers. Savage Hearts. Love, love, love. Look at that. Oh, beautiful. And Brutal Vows is the last book. But also what I want to point out, which I know a lot of people are doing these days. Look at that pretty, beautiful sprayed edges. Yes, this here I want to say, is this, I do have all 4 books. I don't know if the series is complete, if anybody out there knows for sure or not. I am all into mafia romances, or not really yet into stalkerism. Not there, but mafia romances, you know, love, hate, frenemies, enemies, lovers. But I'm all about some mafia. Some mafia. I don't know why. Well, maybe because I like the Godfather movies too. Go figure. But another set of books I bought, I bought this month that I'm super excited to get into and read. And again, had I looked at the cover, I would have known what order the books go in. I'm so bad about that. All right, moving on. I picked up another book this month. I want to say this is book 2. I bought book 1 a few months ago. And if you not noticed, yes, this is book 2 of the Wicked Game series. I picked up Enchantra. I also have the first book as well on my shelf, which is, stop. I cannot work a phone for nothing. Which is also Phantasma. I have that one, but I think I bought that a couple of weeks ago. But here's the other thing about these covers. One, they're very beautiful covers. But again, nice. Book 2. Done differently. Did not see that till just now. That is at the very top. It's not some, I think some authors are starting to put their numbers on the side of the spine. I want to say Rose Hill. No, that series didn't have the number on the spine. But yes, so I'm looking forward to reading this book as well. This is book 2, so I won't read the back of this if you don't like spoilers, so I won't read the back of the book. Let's see. Next one I picked up, I heard all about, actually I had it on my list of books to read this year. huge Jessa Hastings fan. I love the Magnolia Park Daisy Hates series. I love it, love it, love it. And so it is, of course, the Conditions of Will. From what I've been hearing, look up the trigger warnings with this book. Great reviews so far by everyone. I just love this color. It is so beautiful, this cover. Really looking forward to reading this. Again, I'm a huge Jessa Hastings fan. And like I said, a lot of people have been raving this here book. And I love the Magnolia Parks Daisy Hates series. I mean, just love it. I was immersed in it. I laughed. I cried. Mainly cried. I mean, it's very, definitely on Magnolia Parks Daisy Hates. You gotta look up the trigger warnings on the set of books too. But just love the characters, love their story. It kind of reminds you of like Gossip Girl in a way, which I did do a lot of relations to Gossip Girl with that. But very deep, very gritty. So this is not part of that series. This is not part of that series. This is actually a different book. But Jessa Hastings' writing is so good. So I was definitely excited to pick this book up as well. And on that note, give me 1 second because it looks like my camera battery is going to die and I do not want it to do that. So hold, please. Alright, so next in the series that I have is Powerless. Yes, I just finished, again, I know I'm late to the game. I just finished Powerless probably two days ago. And it ended on it ended on a cliffhanger. I went into Powerless with a whole lot of chatter in the book talk world. But I said, you know what, let me just read the book and form my own opinion on the story itself. I listened. So another one of the things I started to do this year is read the book and listen to it at the same time. Like, I'm a huge fan of listening to audiobooks. The job I used to have, I could sit at work and put one of the earbuds in and just listen to a book while I worked. So a lot of the books I consumed was through audio, listening to them either on Libby, Hoopla, Audible, audiobooks, graphic audio, anyway, you name it. So now that I'm home more, and I still listen to books, but what I wanted to do and add in was take my actual physical books and read along and listen. And so did that with a couple of books this month. But like I said, I just finished Powerless. And Peyton and Kai and Kit, I mean, there's some other characters too. But it reminded me of the Hunger Games. It reminded me a little bit of Divergent series. I know there's talk where there's relations to Red Queen, and there probably is. I did read Red Queen also this year. I'm going to talk about the rest of the series I bought this month to finish off Red Queen. I don't know. Maybe. I didn't get that. When I listened to the book, the voice actors who read the story did an amazing job. I was really immersed in the story. But Hayden and Kai, yes, Kai is a little out there, but to good reason. I mean, there's reasons behind why Kai is the way he is. If you didn't know, there's 6 people that are picked to compete in the games. This year being I'm gonna say it's the 6 games. Hayden's name is put in there from the people, which she didn't realize until she saw her name on the list. But also added in there was Kai. And so, like anything, there can only be one. And so, you know, she had a purpose. You know, the king had killed her father. And she was going to go through life, you know, rob, stealing. You know, basically, you could think of her as the female Robin Hood. You know, she was, you know, just stealing to survive, you know, selling food, whatever, money to survive. And Kai is known as the enforcer. So there's 2 princes. Kit is the oldest, And Kai is, of course, the second born of the Spare. You know, we got that whole name, the Spare heir. But the Spare, in this case, becomes the enforcer. And so he was brought up as from a child up into, I think they're 18, 19, very young. And he already at 18, 19 years old had a reputation in the in the country as being just, yeah. So the story, you get to watch them, you get to watch their story, and you get to see how they weaken towards each other, more Peyton towards Kai, really. But I love Powerless, and so once I wasn't even done with Powerless before I was on Barnes and Noble ordering the books. I already had Powerless in hard copy, so of course I had to get the other two books in the series. I don't know if you can tell, I even tabbed. I'm not a huge tabber or annotator of my books, but there are some passages and verses because I'm going to do a in a month book review on this here, and so there's some key points I wanted to remember that I wanted to add. But I love it. The series is by Lauren Roberts. Again, I loved it. I love listening to the audiobook. I just love the series. I did pick up my first book by LG, I think Shen. Hopefully it's Shen. And I think it's book 1. Yes, Sinners of Saints book 1. It's called Vicious. You know what? You know how you get me to buy a book? Have a pretty cover. Have a cool, pretty cover. Like, this is hot pink, but vicious. But here it says, the man who comes to Amelia LeBlanc in her dreams also haunts her in her nightmares. Ooh. Baron Vicious Spencer is a brilliant lawyer, a skilled criminal, a beautiful liar, a bully, and a savior, a monster, and a liar. And since her mom was the live-in caretaker for his family's estate, in high school, there was no escaping his wrath until she had no other choice. I won't read the rest of it, but just that first paragraph had me hooked. I actually picked this up, I think, from Barnes and Noble, but it had me hooked. I said, okay, let me try this out. Hopefully it's not too crazy. I also picked up the second book in the Lakefront Billionaires. I have the first one on Love Redesign on my bookshelf. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I picked up book 2, Love Unwritten. Sorry, I can't read again. I don't know what's going on this year. I mean, this year and towards the end of last year, authors have really been amping up their game with their book covers. But this year finds the story of Raphael and Elle. No, it's probably Ellie, E-L-I-E. Is that Elle or Ellie? Probably Ellie. Ellie. Because it's not Allie, so Ellie. Ooh. No, trust me, I can read people. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Honestly, I'm a huge Lauren Asher fan anyway. I haven't started the Lakefront Billionaires. Like I said, I picked up reading. I got back into reading and towards the end of 2022, the last probably 5 or 6 months of 2022, and it all started with me watching a booktuber, Larry, and there's Destiny's, and there's, I can't think of her name right now. I watch her videos all the time right now for some reason. I'm drawing a blank on her name, but there was the 3 of them. And I watched one of their YouTubes, and I ended up picking up the Daisy Jones and the Six. And I read that book, but I also listened to the audiobook of that book, and I was hooked on reading again. So bringing it back into play, last year I focused a lot more on reading first books and series. Focus a lot more on fantasy, romance, things like that. So I didn't really read too much romance last year, so I'm trying to get back into that. That is one of the things on my list, but the biggest thing on my list is finishing off series that I've started, but that's going to be a whole nother video. But I really want to get back into Lauren Asher. I did read her The Fine Print series, and I just loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. So I figured Lauren, you know, she always hits it at the park. So I'm really looking forward to reading the Lakefront Billionaire series as well. Now, Rena Kent is, I have the first book. This is the second one called God of Pain. I've got the other one up here on my shelf. So it says, I made a terrible mistake that cannot be undone. Yeah, that caught me. First of all, purple's my favorite color. But again, I made a terrible mistake that can't be undone. Hooked. Creighton King is silent, brooding, and hostile. Annika Volkov loves him. She is his opposite in every way, a ray of sunshine, the life of the party, and constantly talking. What Annika doesn't know is that Creighton's quiet, beautiful exterior masks a dark, hidden persona, a violent one. Yeah, I need to start looking at what my books say about me personally. Oof. Either way, Rena Kent. Oof. Okay, super excited. But that's, again, another set of series that I'm waiting to read and talk about. All right, sorry guys, I need to situate my stacks of books here, because apparently April was a month of me going crazy on buying books. All right, so I did pick up another book, new author. So again, one of my goals was, sorry about that, I'm too old to be sitting on the floor, crisscross applesauce. Another one of the books I wanted to pick up is book one. Never heard of the author, but that could just be me, called Morgan Bridges. The author is Morgan Bridges. The book is called Once You're Mine. Yeah, I really need to think about it. Anyway, Once You're Mine. It says, murder brought us together. Only death can keep us apart. Again, when you start doing those catchy lines, you're going to have me hooked. But, so it says, the tormentor. Callista belongs to me. She just doesn't know it. The first time we met, I wanted her. The next time I was obsessed. I watched her. I followed her. It only deepened my need to possess her. Once she's mine, I'll never let her go. Ooh. Almost sounds stalkerish. I think this might be my first book about stalking. It says, the target. Hayden Bennett is a monster. In and out of the courtroom. Unfortunately, I need his help. What was supposed to be a simple transaction turns into something else, something intense. He's always there when I need him, but I don't know if trusting him is a good idea. Girl, no, run. Anyway, yes. Once You're Mine. And this is actually book one in the series. Okay, yes. Now, I have this book on Audible. I love the original cover of the book, the hardback book. But this new cover, A Lesson in Chemistry, I love this cover. Now, of course, too, this is their paperback release. I don't know if they are going to do a hardcover since the original book, which was released in hardbook. I know this is also a TV show, but I've been wanting to read the book. I do have the Audible, so I will be listening to it. A lot of good reviews, a lot all over the place, and I don't know. I think science, STEM, especially set in that era and time, is very, very important. But I hear it's a beautiful book, and I can't wait to read it. So, Let's see. Getting down to some of my bigger books here. Okay, so again, I talked about wanting to learn and read about new authors. So Abby Jimenez, I started this year. Actually, this month, I read 2 of her books this month. Won't get into it because I am going to be doing a video or blogging about the 2 books I read. Yeah, I love her writing. I love how the characters are everyday, normal people with everyday, I wouldn't say they're everyday normal issues, but talking about anxiety, especially social anxiety. I think people don't know enough about that topic. How age gap, looking at somebody who you think supposed to, being told that this is the mold of the person I want to be with or I should be with, but then that mold isn't the mold. Like, your mold is something different, and the person you end up with is somebody you never thought you would. And how do you work through that? How do you overcome? So I won't talk about those 2 books. Those 2 books are books in, I think, Part of Your World, and the other one is I'm looking, is Yours Truly. Okay, I read both of those in the month of April, so I'll be talking about those later. So anyway, I was waiting for Say You'll Remember Me. I love this cover, and it says, love is easy, life is hard. And man, is that is very true. Very, very true. So they met, they fought, then they fell hard for each other. So, and there's a picture of a dog. I am a dog mom. I love doggies. Yeah, I love dogs, but I won't get into that. But I love her writing. It's like, and her love stories isn't mushy. Like, I mean, when I read her books and I read their love stories, it's like, man, that's like every day. That's like normal. And it's not the whole quick, sugary, it's none of that. So I really, really love her writing. And like I said, I had Part of Your World for the longest time, and I ended up reading that this month. It was actually one of my 25 books in 2025 that I read. And so, no kidding, as soon as I finished Part of Your World, I went right to Yours Truly. And yes, so, but this one, yes, beautiful book. I don't know yet, but I love the book cover. But Abby Jimenez, of course, I'm sure I'm just going to love it. Another one of my favorite authors, and of course I had to pick this up. I should have removed the sticker, but I didn't. But it's Emily Henry. Yes, A Great Big Beautiful Life. This one is the Barnes & Noble one, so it is, look, if I could decorate my office in these colors, I think I would be very, very happy. But you got the pink, the orange, anyway, love, 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 love this color. But either way, been waiting for this. It says, she was the stuff of legends. Alice Scott is an internal optimist still dreaming of her big writing break. Hayden Anderson is a Pulitzer Prize winning human thundercloud, and they're both on a balmy little crescent island for the same reason: to write the biography of a woman no one has seen in years, or at least to meet with the octogenarian, I said that wrong, who claims to be the Margaret Ives, tragic heiress, former tabloid princess, and daughter of one of the most storied and scandalous families of the 20th century. Emily Henry, love, 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 love. Come on, you guys know her books. I don't have to bring that up. And so I've been waiting to go back to this series, or to read this series. Saw this series in the movies, loved it. Really excited to read the books, but I wanted to wait until the next prequel came out, which is now the last prequel, and that is Sunrise on the Reaping. I want to read The Hunger Games, and so I wanted to wait to Songbirds I already have, and then I saw this was coming out, so I wanted to wait to get this before I read Hunger Games. And everybody I talked to, so I got these saying, okay, I'll start with the prequels and then go into the series. But everyone is saying no. Read the Hunger Games trilogy first, then go and read the prequels, because it'll make more sense. And so I didn't read the books before. Like I said, I saw the movie, so I'm going to read the books. And from what I hear, the audiobooks for the Hunger Games is tip top, like just amazing. So I'm going to actually probably sometime later this year get to the Hunger Games and get to these two books. Everyone is saying how, here, let me read this. When you've been set up to lose everything you love, what is there left to fight for? I love that. When you've been set up to lose everything you love, what is there left to fight for? I know everybody is talking about this book. I'm trying to hold off reading it because I definitely want to read the other three books first. But I know this is Hamish' story and how he went through the Hunger Games, what he did, what he went through when it was his turn to be tribute. And I don't know, everybody's sad, crying, but they said it's really good. So I know they picked, so I haven't watched Songbird yet. I don't know the whole title, I just know this one. But they've already picked the cast for this book. And so I'm like, they haven't started shooting yet, but I've seen the pictures of the cast, and I'm like, oh. So, yeah. So I'm thinking maybe I'll get to the Hunger Games, hopefully when they either are shooting the movie or hopefully they're going to release the movie. But either way, oh my gosh, yes. Okay, so now we're getting to the Red Queen series. So I did read that book this month. I read it earlier in the month, and so when I read it, I was like, okay, like I'm that person. I love things like Game of Thrones. I love Hunger Games. I mean, I love anything that is world building. I love fantasy romance. I love things where we talk about fae, elves. I love wolves and vampire stories too. I read Allie Hazelwood's The Bride, and I cannot wait for the book. I think it's Mate, which is book 2. Anyway, okay. But those stories appeal to me. Again, I don't why. I really do love it. I am trying to venture out a little bit, but I read Red Queen, and I was like, well, let me pick up the other 3 books in the series. I know there's some novellas. I know it's going to be a very unpopular opinion, but it's just mine. I don't mind novellas. I think the thing what I mind is a novella being the same price as a book, but maybe only let's say 100 pages. I did pick up the novella for the ACOTAR. Loved it. I think there are some novellas or what you call them in series set that are definitely worth it, especially if it builds out the character or gives you more context. So a lot of things on novellas, I will probably do an ebook or check it or borrow it from an e-library. I just have a hard time. These books aren't expensive. Like I think this is like 16 bucks. I just have a hard time purchasing books that have not very many pages to it that's the same price as the book. But I read Red Queen, loved it. I can't remember. I think I gave it 3.5, maybe 4 stars because I just read it this month, so I'm not sure. And so I was really excited to pick up the next book. And what I love about this this series is complete. And I like the fact that on each of her books, it's like second book, third book, final book. So that makes my life easier. But I'm really looking forward to this. Oh, I love how this says, the glass sword says, kneel or bleed. King's Cage says, all will burn. War Storm says, rise with the dawn. I'm all about that. Like I said, I love Game of Thrones. I did watch the movie. I didn't read the books. I watched the movie and it was gritty and dark. There's a few times where I was like, I couldn't handle it. But anyway, I like that kind of world stuff. Anyway, that's just me. So I am definitely waiting to go back into this world, especially with the silvers and I think it's the reds. Silvers and the reds. Yes, silvers, of course, the elites. The reds are not. And I guess I could see some. Anyway, I'm not going to hop around that. But I really get back into this, and since I love book one, I know when I say love, you're like, oh, we rate it higher. To me, 3.5, 4 stars. To me, that is a love. That is a love. So I am definitely excited to read these 3 books. I do love the covers, and they all have crowns. I mean, I do get it. I do understand it. But I do love the fact that they all have crowns. And the thing that's crazy, I don't know if you can tell, every single crown has like a dripping or 2 of blood from it. I know. I'm weird. Can't be helped. All right, this last set, oh my gosh. It's heavy. I read book 1 this month as well. I actually read 10 books this month, which is an oddity. I don't read that many books a month. Normally 5 to 6, but I read 10. So one of the books I read this month was From Blood and Ash. I am obsessed with Jennifer Armentrout. So I went through, and of course her books, I don't think they have been released in paperback. For as long as I can remember, they have always been hardbook bound. I may not have these in order, everybody. But I read From Blood and Ash. Yes, I know, I'm late to the game. Let me tell you why I was late to the game. I knew that if I liked, sorry, everybody, trying to get comfortable. I knew if I read this book and liked it, that I would want to buy the other books. Well, none of the books are not paperback. They're all hardback. Anyway, I'm not going to say the price. But that's not what's important. But I love the covers. I mean, I really do love these covers. And I keep harping on that. I sound like a broken record, but I don't care. So, From Blood and Ash, this is book 1. It says, captivating and action-packed. Yes, it was. Let me tell you, Jennifer Armentrout and Sarah J. Maas, because I just finished the last book in An Ember in the Ashes this month, meaning A Sky Beyond the Storm. I was really sad when that book ended, because I knew the series ended. Again, I'm not going to get into that because I'm definitely going to talk about that in another video. I think I rated that book a 5. It was so good. I listened to the audiobook and I listened to the audiobook and read along with it, which is what I did for the entire series. And I was really sad to see it end, but man, it was such a good story. Just such a good story. Anyway, I don't want to harp on that because that's another video, and I want to have my thoughts together better when I get ready to do that. But it says, a maiden, chosen from birth to usher in a new era, Poppy's life has never been her own. Yeah, no kidding. The life of the maiden is solitary, never to be touched, never to be looked upon, never to be spoken to, never to experience pleasure, waiting for the day of her ascension. She would rather be with the guards, fighting back the evil that took her family, than preparing to be found worthy by the gods. But the choice has never been her own. There's a duty. The entire kingdom's future rests on Poppy's shoulders, something she's not even quite sure she wants for herself. Because a maiden has a heart and a soul and longing. And when Hawk, good old Hawk, a golden-eyed guard honor-bound to ensure her ascension enters her life, destiny and duty become tangled with desire and need. He incites her anger, makes her question everything she believes in, and tempts her with the forbidden. Then there's the kingdom. Forsaken by the gods and feared by mortals, a fallen kingdom is rising once more, determined to take back what they believe is theirs through violence and vengeance. And as the shadow of those curse draws closer, the line between what is forbidden and what is right becomes blurred. Poppy is not only on the verge of losing her heart and being found unworthy by the gods, but also her life when every blood-soaked thread that holds her world together begins to unravel. I listened to this book this month, and man, oh my gosh. I went out and said, okay, they're all hardbound. Okay. I had a gift card from Christmas that I used to buy all the books. I had these in order. I don't think I still have them in order anymore. And they're not numbered. So I want to say, I think it's this order here, reading order with it. But I love Jennifer Armentrout. I love her books. I have a whole shelf dedicated to her books. I like her storytelling. I like her world building. I like how her characters are just complicated and complex. It's not over your head. None of the writing's over your head. You're not talked down to. You root for the good and those who are maybe not so good, but her writing is just, I just love her writing. I think between her and Sarah J. Maas, I love them. Like I said, when I started up reading again, when I went from Daisy Jones and the Six, I read a couple of books by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Then I moved to the ACOTAR series. So that was, I'm not going to talk about it because everybody and their mother knows ACOTAR series. They've talked about it. But I got really immersed in that to where I completed the whole series. And if you know, those books are long and got longer as she progressed. But I really enjoy the writing. So that, everyone, and I'm too old to be sitting on the ground. I need to come up with a better option. Sitting on the ground when you're older, you feel all the creaks in the cricks. But anyway, I just want to thank all of you for coming along on, I'm not even sure how many books I bought this month, but if I would almost say I went overboard this month on books, but that's okay though. They're on my shelves, they'll get read, and they're loved. And of course, there are worse things in life. But anyway, thank you for coming along. Thank you for joining me in my little cozy corner of a nook here. Again, click, like, subscribe, share this video if you like it. I will put the book links in the description. If you like it, come back for my next video, which will be my April wrap-up. But that's going to take a little bit because I did read 10 books. So anyway, that'll be my April wrap-up that I'll be doing as well. And then I think after that, I will be looking at my May TBR list. I may actually do my May TBR first because it's shorter. I think there's only 6 books on my May TBR, to be honest, before I do my April wrap-up. But again, thank you for coming along with me on this journey because now I'm just rambling and I need to have an end. But again, thank you for coming to the Techie Story and Scrap. Hello. Doing all kinds of craziness. And I hope you come back. And again, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, again, like, subscribe, comment, but in the end, always be kind. Thank you. Come back. Bye.